Hey Projection team, thanks for taking a few minutes to check out this video for this coming weekend. This is for Sunday, September 20th, 2020. There's a couple of things that are a little bit different for this weekend that I wanted to bring to your attention. So if you're serving this weekend, just go ahead and take a look at this full video. It'll be super quick. Nothing that'll take too much of your time. First thing that I wanted to mention is that we are back to our regular countdown timer setup for this weekend. So if you take a look here over in the viewfinder, you'll see that we've got our regular announcement loop, and then you do your regular countdown. It will only be a 5-minute countdown this weekend, not a 10-minute, but we'll make that change before we get to the weekend. And then once that finishes, go ahead and this weekend for sure hit the clear all button and you'll go right into your very first song. So again, we're using these slow fades here on the backgrounds, the ones that show up on Tom's display, to match the transition speed of the lighting as well, so it's not so jarring. So just keep that in mind. Shouldn't affect too much what you're doing here. Okay, so the first two songs that you see in Planning Center are actually a mashup of two different songs. We have All My Hope, which we've done a few times, and a brand new song we're introducing called Promises. Now, with Promises here, we're going to do this kind of at the end of All My Hope, and you'll hear how this works in rehearsal. And if you watch the rehearsal video, you kind of know how this works. We'll do the tag here at the end of All My Hope, and we'll go straight into Promises. Now, for this transition here, I've just included an instrumental slide, a blank instrumental slide, because we're not going to go to another background, and nothing needs to change as far as the routing of the of ProPresenter. So what we're going to do then is come here to All My Hope. We'll come to Promises. We'll do I Put My Faith in Jesus, which is the bridge. We'll do 3 different bridges in Promises. We'll tag that, and then we're actually going to go back into a chorus of All My Hope. So instead of having you have to jump back up here and try to find where you are, all I did was make another sequence or another section of the sequence here in Promises. I called it Chorus 2, and all it is just a chorus of All My Hope is in Jesus. So that should get you what you need for this weekend, and you can just run straight through the slides and not have to jump back and forth. Hope that makes sense. Now, the second thing that I want you to keep in mind is as we come down here to the message for this weekend, Tom would like to try doing all of his slides on his screen and none of the slides as lower thirds. So that should keep things in a little more of an organized manner, instead of having to jump back and forth between scripture slides and the slides, the point slides that come up on his monitors. So just so you know, the order of operation here when you get to the message, of course you'll run the bumper as is, and once the bumper finishes, you can hit default stage display reset if you want to. Or I also have it set up that whenever you go into the very first slide here, that it resets the default stage display. Now, let me say this. As soon as that bumper ends, go ahead and hit this first slide. I want this graphic right here to come up immediately on Tom's display. I don't want there to be a minute or two display before this comes up. I want this graphic up immediately. So as soon as the bumper ends, hit that very first slide, and then, as I said, all of his points will just come up on his monitor as is. These probably aren't in the order he's going to go. These are just in the order that of his notes that he presented, so these will get mixed up a little bit. But it should be pretty simple and straightforward as far as that's concerned. And then the end of the service is really like we've been doing. The very last song here is, of course, it's another rendition of Promises that we're going to do. So I've got this sequence, this arrangement set up for this is the arrangement that we're using up top, and then I've got another arrangement down here that you can follow. So just keep those in mind, keep those differences in mind as you go. Here's one big thing we're going to try this weekend, and I know it's going to take some intentionality, but I think it's going to make having no rehearsal for the third hour, I think it's going to make that a little bit easier. So this weekend, what we're going to do is I'm just creating one set of slides for full screen and for the lower thirds. What I'll do is between the 10:30 and the 12 o'clock service, I'll come up and I'm going to change the audience look from lower third music to full music. Let me show you what that does here before I change that. So the lower third music, take a look at your viewfinder up here in the multi-view section. You'll see we have lower thirds on the main output, and the background here just on Tom's display. Of course, this doesn't change the stage display at all. But whenever I come here and, oops, let me clear all. Whenever I come here and I go and change the audience look from LT music to full music, now, whenever I click that, we'll have the graphic on the main output and on Tom's display, and our lyrics will now look like Saturday Night, or I should say full screen, not Saturday Night. The reason this is doing this, and if you haven't seen some of the earlier tutorial videos, the reason this is doing this is because in the new looks layout within Planning Center, you can actually set up themes, which were originally called templates. You can now set up themes within the output. So it just takes the raw text, the plain text I should say, and it formats it based on the theme you have set up. So we're going to try that this weekend. We'll see what happens. Like I said, we'll be really intentional about it. I'll make sure to come up and make these changes before the PM service, and we'll see how it goes. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks.